Reverend Sue Turley is the staff chaplain at the Veterans Administration in Palo Alto. It is her job to encourage veterans who have walked through tragedies. In October of 2006, she walked through a tragedy of her own.
My only child, Keith Jesse Moore, at age 28, decided that he wanted to serve his country, and he joined the Army. Their mission was to go out 8 days at a time at a checkpoint and either be in the Humvee watching for snipers or being at the checkpoint patting down the locals.
She knew Keith's assignment. What Sue didn't know was Keith's plight.
He began to get very depressed and disoriented, and he wasn't sleeping. I think the situation was just enough to put him over the edge.
8 months after Keith enlisted, Sue heard a knock on her door.
I opened the door and looked out over the stairwell, and there were the two officers in uniform, and they just said, "Do you have a son named Keith Jesse Moore?" I said, "Yes, that's our son," and we're sorry to say that, he took his life today. I just couldn't handle it, and once it sank in, I just started screaming. Screaming uncontrollably, and I went into my bedroom and I shut the door and I just collapsed. I went through a period where I decided I was no longer going to believe in God because I was mad. I was mad that God took my son, and I thought, well, if God can intervene in our lives, and if there is divine providence, then why did he not intervene and save my son?
It is a question she had heard many times as a chaplain. It is the question, she says, that causes many people to lose their faith, but not Sue.
When one is angry at God, and when one turns their back on God because they're hurt and angry, it's not a loss of faith at all. In fact, it's a deepening of faith. We're in relationship with God no matter what we're going through, and God wants our anger, God wants our shame, our grief, our pain. It's okay to be mad at God. God's bigger than our anger.
It is a message that Sue shares with military families and veterans as she tries to help them hold on to their faith as they struggle with their grief.
I am back in relationship with God, like I was ever not. And I talk to God a lot about my grief. And he walks with us in our journey. He was with Keith, I believe that totally. So I take comfort in that. The picture of the women at the cross is what really helped me. The women were there taking care of Jesus and gathering around him and crying and weeping. And I thought that, to me, is the most powerful story. That in the midst of the horrible physical pain and mental agony, that people of faith gather around you and make sure that you will resurrect out of this moment of just too much pain for any human being to sustain.